Good morning. Welcome. If you would please rise for the presentation of colors, the national anthem, and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please remain standing. Please remain standing. Veterans, please salute for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You're on.
You can all be seated now.
Yeah.
Although I don't mind being saluted every now and then, it's my pleasure to welcome you to this important day in the life of our military who serves this country so beautifully. This is the 62nd observance of Veterans Day. So Veterans Day is not to be confused with Memorial Day, a common misunderstanding according to the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Both days honor the military, but in different ways. Memorial Day celebrates the last Monday in May. It's celebrated in the last Monday in May and honors those who died serving in the military. While Veterans Day pays tribute to all American veterans, it gives a special attention to the living veterans. Let me add that Veterans Day coincides with Armistice Day and Remembrance Day celebrated in other countries. These celebrations mark the anniversary of the end of World War I. World War I formally ended on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918 when the armistice with Germany went into effect. In 1954, the U.S. holiday, Armistice Day, was renamed Veterans Day and recognizes all veterans who have served our country. So today, our Veterans Day ceremony is focused on honoring the veterans still among us who have served our great nation. I'd like to ask all veterans with us today to stand and let us recognize all of you. We got quite a few standing back there already, but thank you. Yes. Now, I'd like to have those who are actually engaged in service right now, who are presently serving in our military, if you would stand and let us recognize you. Thank you. I am especially happy to have our son John Lewis here. Did John get here yet? He is on his way. So if he comes in, you'll know he's the only one of our sons that is always late for everything. He doesn't worry about anything like I do, I can tell you that. He was our speaker 2 years ago for this ceremony. Now, last year, our middle son, he's a physician, heads up radiation oncology up at Walter Reed, and he could not get away from duty to be here today. But he did. He was here last year as our speaker. And, of course, our third son, who came 10 years later after our middle son. I don't know how in the world whose fault that was. I get a lot of blame for it. But Charlie is here with his family, and we will be looking forward to hearing his remarks later. Now, I would like to introduce a special group of people, our Veterans Advisory Council. And we appreciate these veterans who are donating their time and expertise to help the college better serve student veterans in our campus throughout the year and, of course, influencing the work that's going on today. So, council members, if you would please stand as I call your name. The Veterans Advisory Council, Mr. Roger Atkins, please stand. And Peter Anderson, where's Peter? He's always out of place all the time. He is our Dean of Technologies and Business here, one of our veterans that appreciates the college doing what we do. Is Colonel Dallas Cox, U.S. Army retired? Did he make it today? He's usually here. Mr. Stephen Earhart, I think I saw. I was almost sure I saw him earlier. Bennett Keister. We have Mark Peterson. Are you here? Donald Sheffy. And Robin Sherwood. Let's give an applause to those people who are advisory council. Now, a very important person, especially on this day, is our connection specialist, retired Navy gentleman, Barry Cox, U.S. military, retired Navy. So, where's Barry? He was looking for me to come up here a few minutes ago, so he was glad I walked around the corner. So now, in closing, let me thank all of you for choosing to be here today for such an important day. We hope you will visit us again and often. And if you have a chance to do so before you leave here today, would you please thank a veteran? Now I'm going to turn this program over to Barry Cox to continue this important day. Thank you.
We're now going to hear from our fine Pulaski Middle School Choir under the direction of Miss Ransome Bottom.
There are no words big enough. There are no hugs strong enough. There are no smiles wide enough. But all I can offer you is a thank you. You guys are heroes. You are in my thoughts. You are in my prayers. Thank you for giving us freedom and liberty.
My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty. Of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the Pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. United we stand. United we stand. United we stand. America.
I'm going to remind Barry not to do this to me next year. Young people singing tends to make me weepy. Sorry about that. I once again have the distinct privilege of introducing our speaker for today. And many of you may have heard by now that our president, Dr. Jack Lewis, will be retiring in a few weeks. And so this is going to be the last opportunity for this program that he will have as president. We hope he'll be back, obviously, many times, but at the helm of this fine institution. If you've been here before, you've heard some of these remarks, so I apologize if it sounds like I'm repeating myself. I promise them not to get very emotional this time because they tell me they can't take it. But I've known this family for nearly 26 years now. And today's speaker, Charlie, the youngest of the three Lewis sons, was pretty much just a kid when I met this family. He couldn't have been more than 8 or 9 years old. And in fact, I know he's just a little older than my oldest child, so watching him grow up was, kind of like just an extension of my own children growing up. And in fact, there's a picture in his dad's office. There are a lot of pictures in his dad's office. If you've not been there and you want to see family pictures, there are plenty. But there's one in his office of Charlie, couldn't be more than 10, holding a basketball. And so often when I think of Charlie, I can't help but think about the little guy with the basketball. He doesn't look like that anymore. He's a little more grown up than that now. But as the baby of this family, most babies of the family want a lot of attention, and that's really not how to describe Charlie. He was never that son. In fact, his parents would say to me that he was always that quiet, sort of studious kid that never seemed to demand much or share much. But make no mistake, he is a really driven individual, and as evidenced by some of his accomplishments that I do want to share with you now. Lieutenant Commander Lewis, Charles Lewis, was born and raised in Blacksburg, Virginia. He graduated from Blacksburg High School there in 2001. He went on to, like his older brothers, to graduate from the United States Naval Academy with a degree in history and received his commission with the class of 2005. Now, he's the aviator of the bunch, so he completed flight training at VT-28 and VT-31 in Corpus Christi, Texas, and was winged as a naval aviator in August 2007. Lieutenant Commander Lewis reported to Patrol Squadron 10 at Brunswick Naval Air Station in 2008, and then in 2011 transferred to Patrol Squadron 30 as an instructor pilot. He went on to complete a tour at Special Projects Patrol Squadron 2, and he has completed multiple deployments and detachments to CENTCOM in support of Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Inherent Resolve. He has over 2,400 flight hours in the P-3C Orion. And he's currently undergoing training in the P-8A Poseidon and will join Patrol Squadron 26 as the department head upon completion of his training. Pretty impressive stuff. With Charlie today is his lovely wife, Jackie, their amazing daughters, Layla and Taylor, and his other set of parents, Jackie's parents, Mike and Ruth Hill. Please join me in welcoming to the podium Lieutenant Commander Charles Lewis.
Thank you, Amy. You're too kind. If I can move this up a little bit, you're a little shorter than me. And I have a little bit more gray hairs now, so. Thank you all for having me. First of all, I'd like to take the time to thank Barry Cox and Amy Hall and the rest of the New River Community College staff for their selflessness and dedication to this community. For those of you who don't know, Barry and Amy run the Veterans Office here at NRCC, and they've put together a comprehensive listing of scholarship benefits that are available for veterans and their dependents. But they don't just list the scholarships. They have provided detailed instructions on how to apply and what exactly students need in order to take advantage of those benefits. They make it as easy as possible for veterans and their dependents to earn those benefits and to take advantage of that. They also take time out of their busy schedule to organize special events for veterans, such as Memorial Day, POW and Maya Day, and Veterans Day here today. So I'd like to take a moment to thank Barry and Amy and the rest of the staff here. And please be patient with me. I probably will get emotional during this. After all, I am a Lewis, and we don't fall far from the tree. So I have to admit, when I was asked to be a speaker today, I wasn't sure what to talk about. I'm usually shy and embarrassed when somebody comes up and thanks me for my service, kind of going back to my personality there. So to be honest, it was strange for me to be the one up here to talk about Veterans Day and what it means to someone who's currently serving. At the beginning of my career some 10 years ago, I was just struggling to get by. I was trying to learn how to fly. I was more worried about what my instructor was going to be like and how hard they were going to be the next morning for my event. I enjoyed my life, I made a decent living, and I had great friends. But I didn't really feel any job satisfaction. I didn't really appreciate the importance of what serving in the military meant. Only after going on deployments overseas did it begin to dawn on me. There are some terrible places out there. And we live in the best one, best country in the world. As I've matured and experienced more responsibility, I've gained more and more appreciation for holidays such as Memorial Day and Veterans Day. Instead of just being a day off from work, they've turned into a day that has real meaning. But I still didn't feel as if I contributed that much. I saw the stories on the news about our casualties. I saw our wounded warriors returning home mentally and physically traumatized. I didn't feel like my contribution matched their contribution, and it never will. But in recent years, as I've interacted with sailors, old and young, I've noticed that even the newest members of a command can make a real difference in other people's lives. Whether it's the salty chief who's only days away from retiring, taking the time to give some advice, maybe some training to a young sailor who's brand new to the Navy. Maybe it's the commanding officer who knows all 350 individuals' names in the command and their hometown, their favorite hobby, takes the time to really interact with each and every person. I've seen firsthand how the single smallest act can improve the life of someone else or even the whole unit. I've seen the pride that many of our active duty veterans have. Having flown over 800 combat hours over the last several years, I've seen the good and the bad that's out in the world. I've served with some of the finest and highest quality individuals. I have gained great appreciation for what it means to serve and have gained immense pride in what I do and what I am a part of. Sometimes I cry when the national anthem is played before an event such as today. I cry with pride that I am part of such a great country. So now, when a stranger does come up and thank me for my service, I respond with pride. Thank you. I'm proud to serve. And every veteran should have pride, no matter how long they served or what job they performed while they were in the military, because it all makes a difference. But we can't do it alone. I'd like to ask for the families of all the veterans, anybody who has son, daughter, child, mother, father, brother, sister who has served, please stand and be recognized as well. Please stand. Thank you. In my opinion, not enough attention goes to the families of those serving. Personally, I can't thank my wife and my daughters enough for the sacrifices that they have made, the love, the support, the understanding. I missed my youngest daughter Taylor's birth. I missed anniversaries, holidays, birthdays. But they've hardly complained. They're just happy to see me the next time I come home. They are the strong ones. Without that love and support, I wouldn't have been able to do what I do and get where I am today. When you're 15,000 miles from home in a hot, sandy place, nothing quite makes your day like getting a care package from home. Whether it's a bunch of homemade cookies or toiletries or fresh underwear and socks. Especially when the store that you have to shop at is about the size of my bedroom closet at home. So without the support of the loved ones, those deployments would seem much longer and would be much harder to get through. So please take the time to thank the families of veterans. They definitely deserve it. And speaking about family, I have to mention my parents. It takes a special person to volunteer to serve in the military, knowing you're likely to spend so much time away from loved ones. It takes a rare view of the world, desire to make it a better place, whether it's for the people around you, people 10,000 miles away, or for generations to come. Whether it's, I would not be the man I am today without a little bit of guidance from you guys, maybe a lot. But I have that appreciation for life and that desire to help others from you. You have constantly led by example with your actions every day. Not everyone has had the fortune of having such a launching pad to success as I have. Thank you. Dr. Jack Lewis has had an incredible influence on New River Community College. His keen eye for technology has been instrumental in keeping NRCC at the forefront of technology in the classroom. He's been a part of turning this community college into one of the best, if not the best, in the nation. But he doesn't deserve all the credit. The faculty and staff here are second to none and are amazing, and they will continue to ensure NRCC's continued excellence. I know many people are sad that this is your last Veterans Day as president, but I have to be a little selfish. I think you need to take some time for yourself. But don't worry about New River Community College. This community is in good hands. In closing, continue to thank veterans. Some of us younger ones may not yet appreciate what we are a part of. But I think that appreciation grows with time, life experience, and reflection. But again, we shouldn't just thank the veterans. Thank the families of the veterans, the mothers, the fathers, the children, for the sacrifices that they have to go through as well. A special thank you to all of the veterans that are here today and to the families that are here. And thank you for having me.
The Holocaust is a stunning reminder of the tragic results of prejudice and hate toward other people, but it is also a reminder that hope held firm will eventually reign victorious over the greatest of odds. The following words were inscribed on the walls of a cellar in Cologne, Germany, where Jews were hiding from the Nazis during World War II. Hope was all they had to hold on to. Hope was their only bridge to a brighter tomorrow.
Even the sun, even when it is not shining, and I believe in love, even when there's no one there. And I believe in God, even when He is silent. I believe through any trial, there is always a way. But sometimes in this suffering and hopeless despair, my heart cries for shelter, to know someone's there. But a voice rises within me, saying, hold on, my child. I'll give you strength, I'll give you hope. Just stay a little while. Believe in the sun, even when it is not shining. And I believe in love, even when there's no one there. But I believe in God, even when He is silent. I believe through any trial, there is always a way. Someday be sunshine, may there someday be happiness, may there someday be love, may there someday be peace.
Mr. Bunk Austin, would you please come forward? I believe Bunk is our oldest veteran here at 91 years old. We had a friend of ours who was 100, but he just couldn't quite muster up the strength. But Bunk is a World War II veteran of the South Pacific. Tell them what you're going to do about the flag, the old rugged flag.
Did who?
The old rugged flag.
Okay. We did a pledge a while ago to the flag, and I just, as you drive down the highway, especially the veterans, and you see that old flag flying, and you think to yourself, that's my flag. That's the one I served under. And it's a great feeling to do that. So I would like to tell you about that old flag, where it's been, and how many veterans have fought under that flag. I was walking through a county courthouse square, and on a park bench, this old gentleman was sitting there. And I said, that old courthouse is a little run down. And he said, it'll do for our little old town. And I said, well, that old flagpole is leaning and bent. And that's a ragged old flag you got flying on it. And he said, I don't like to brag, but I'm kind of proud of that ragged old flag. He said, you see, it's got a bullet hole in it there that it got when Washington crossed the Delaware. And it got singed the night that Francis Scott Key sat watching when he wrote, oh, say, can you see? And he got ripped pretty bad in New Orleans when old Pakenham and Jackson was pulling at its seams. She almost fell at the Alamo beside the Texas flag, but she waved on, though. She got cut with a sword in Chancellorsville, got cut again at Shiloh Hill. And old Robert E. Lee and Beauregard and Bragg, that old south wind blew hard on that ragged old flag. And in World War I, she got a hole from a big Bertha gun. She turned blood red in World War II. She fell limp a time or two, but when they raised her on that old Iwo Hill, that old rising sun, she almost stood still. Well, she went on to Korea and Vietnam. She went where she was sent by her Uncle Sam, and she waved from her ships from the briny foam, but for a while we almost stopped waving her back here at home. You see, in her very own land, she's been abused. She's been burned, dishonored, disrespected, and refused. The very government for which she stands has been scandalized throughout the land. Now, she can still sprint, but she's growing kind of thin, but she's still in pretty good shape for the shape she's in. She's been through fire before, but, I think she can go through a whole lot more. And I know that she'll always wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave. So we run her up every morning. We take her down at night. We don't let her touch the ground, and we fold her up just right. And then the old fella, he looked up to see her wave against the sky. And he said, he said, on second thought, I do like to brag because I'm mighty proud of that ragged old flag. Thank you, folks.
Stick around. Stay just a minute. Stay here just a minute.
Okay.
I want you all to see what faces of veterans look like. So some of the honor guard, 2 or 3 of you guys come up, stand up here. You two come up. Robert, will you all come up here? Commanders, if you all would step forward, please. Jimmy, step up here, please. Where's my 20-year-old veteran back here? Is he back here somewhere? I want the youngest and the oldest. Come up here. This is what the face of our veterans looks like. Some are World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan. Jacob? Stand right there. Sir, Dr. Lewis, support of you veterans all these years and supporting your fine sons through their naval career today, sir. We salute you. Go ahead.
All veterans. And salute. Two.
This is a gift of our appreciation. This flag was flown over the Pentagon last month in honor of your retirement. Thank you so much. Thank you. This concludes our program. Please enjoy some refreshments. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys. Please be seated while we retire the colors. That's tough getting that out.
Thank you for coming.